This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. We made it. It's the end of the preseason. The last preseason game tonight. The New York Knicks take on the Washington Wizards. And then after that, folks, the regular season is upon us. On Wednesday, October the 19th, the New York Knicks will take on the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis. But we're going to talk about the Wizards and the Knicks tonight, or the Knicks and the Wizards. I should say it that way. I got Andy. I got Steph in the building. We're going to go ahead and break this one down. Andy, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
What up, Sam? Listen, I'm feeling a little bit, maybe not under the weather, but I strained my neck earlier today. But moving right now, so it's getting better. I'm actually happy that this is the last preseason game because I want to see real action.
Yeah, right? I feel you on that one. I definitely feel you there. I'm ready to see some real action. Steph, how you feeling?
I feel good. Shout out to you and Andy. And I'm the same way with Andy. I'm ready for the real game now.
Yeah.
I wish we didn't even have this preseason.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm ready for the real. I'm ready for him to get down to business now too, man. Andy, I know you haven't been on in a while, but what have you seen from the previous games that you like, that you don't like? And what do you want to see going into we're going to break down the game a little bit. It's not that much to break down. We'll talk about who might play, who may not play, and that kind of stuff. We'll really get to breaking down the games when the season begins, you know what I mean, and strategizing and that kind of stuff. But so far, Andy, what have you seen that you like and don't like?
Well, listen, I think that the games were pretty much different, each and every of them, right? Because the first game we had a higher pace, faster pace. The other game, I was thinking we're going to try to continue to do that. It didn't go as well. The third game, and both those games, maybe it's not like pointing a finger at Brunson because, he was playing, all 3 games, but the third game was probably his worst game as a Knick. We can say that. But listen, it's the preseason. I don't want to say bad things. I could point fingers quickly at plenty of more guys, right, for having a bad game or bad positions. But, since I don't see it in the regular season, I'm going to try to be positive. So, and also, on the negative thing, and it's not that I'm going to bash Quentin Grimes because he's kind of injured, but I would love to see more minutes from Quentin Grimes in the preseason because, that position and his minutes might be, lingering a little bit. We asked for Cam's minutes. Cam also didn't shine the way that I was expecting him, or maybe not me, but Twitter fan base. It was expecting Cam to take minutes for Fournier. I don't see that happening after these preseason games. But listen, I was kind of realist. I was expecting Fournier to be the starting shooting guard at day 1 of the regular season, and I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the starting shooting guard. To me, there's no doubts about that. And you're right, Cam. He's had his chance. I just don't think that he's done enough. Listen, he was already on the outside looking in, and when you get this shot, you really got to step in and make the coaches say, we need this guy here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just not sure that he's done that so far. He'll get another chance to play tonight, I'm sure. Right? I haven't heard anything about Quentin Grimes and whether or not he's going to play tonight. I know there were possibilities that he could play. tonight, but I haven't heard if he is going to play tonight. We know Kristaps Porzingis isn't playing. And I don't know anybody else from the Wizards who may or may not be playing, but we know KP isn't going to play tonight. He twisted his ankle in their previous game, so he's not going to play tonight so that he can be fresh and ready for their season opener. He always seems to avoid playing in Madison Square Garden somehow, some way, at least once or twice throughout the season. You know what I mean? Whether it's preseason or whatever, he avoids it.
Yeah, but like he said, the truth will come out.
Yeah, I guess it's coming out. It's coming out. You know what I mean? Because we see who's the injury guy. You know what I mean? Who had the injury bug? But Steph, what are you thinking? Just the previous 3 games, what we've seen. Where's your mindset with the team right now?
There's some really encouraging things that I'm hoping that we continue tonight to just kind of get those habits up. And one of them is just the ball movement and player movement. The other one, at least in the last game, was how RJ Brunson and Randall played off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever brought it up, they were able to play off of each other, and that's going to bode well for us. I'm a little concerned about our perimeter defense, but it takes some time for those things to gel. So I'm not going to, jump off the roof, about it. We started off as not being a great defensive team last season, and as the season went on, we got better and better. So I'm anticipating the same thing. So just looking forward to us continuing some of the good habits that we've that I've seen this season so far, this preseason.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about it. As a matter of fact, I have that on my things to watch. I really didn't do keys to the game, so I just called it things to watch in the preseason. I had that on there for today, to talk about today, the perimeter defense. I don't know. Well, against Detroit, we didn't see the perimeter defense break down the way we've seen it against Indiana. So I don't know if it's Indiana's the matchup problem or if the Knicks really have issues on the perimeter. It could very well be that just the way that Indiana plays, there's some issues there. But what I'm seeing is that they have some problems with some backdoor cuts. Sleeping a little bit, ball watching, and then the guy cuts in front of you or cuts behind you. Not really good. I don't think the switching has been as good so far. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Are they communicating on the switches? Maybe the communication is late. I just haven't seen the communication there, when they're switching. And sometimes the defender is able to turn the corner because players haven't switched fast enough. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with you, though. I think that does come down to playing together a little bit, because when you play together, you start to understand the speed of your teammate. So, I got to stay with this guy a little bit longer because maybe this guy is not as fast. You know what I mean? Or this guy is pretty fast, so I can hand him off a little bit sooner and get back over to my guy that I'm switching on to and things like that. So it does take some time to develop that chemistry, even on the defensive end, and understanding, guys' tendencies and speed and stuff like that. But I am a little bit concerned about it, and I think coming into, so talking about the perimeter defense, so far we've seen 2 games that had Jalen Brunson and Evan Fournier. There was concerns coming into the season about those 2 guys defensively. How are you feeling about those 2 guys defensively, not just the perimeter defense as a whole? Because in one game, it seemed to be okay versus the Pistons. Fournier played in the last game. He didn't play in the second game. So, it's hard to get a barometer of their perimeter defense with those 2 guys out there. But what have you seen so far? Are you worried about those 2 guys?
Go ahead,
Andy.
Go ahead. Listen, of course, there are concerns in that department, but like I said, unless I see it, time and time again, at least, for the first 5, maybe 10 games, it's hard to predict what's going to be the problem. Because last game, for example, I couldn't put that much blame on Fournier's defense. Meanwhile, RJ got like 3 times a backdoor cut, and and I bet you that most fans won't blame RJ for that, but they're gonna blame Fournier because he was late for rotation and stuff like that. So I think just the pairing of Brunson and Fournier probably isn't a perfect one on the defensive end, but I think you can manage to play those two on the perimeter with an addition of RJ and the whole team defense concept scheme.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can. It may take a little bit of extra work because
And it might not be easy.
it may
I'm
not
not
be
saying
easy,
that,
right?
but
Those two guys.
but I think it's possible, right?
Yeah, those two guys are kind of using angles a little bit more than just speed and athleticism. They're using, their mind, defensive IQ, and things like that. Steph, what do you think?
I'm concerned about the entire team. And those aren't the only two I'm concerned about individually. But I am concerned. You're right, Sam. Against Detroit, I was watching Brunson specifically for his defense, and I was like, wow, you're not going to be able to bully him. He fights over the screens. He gets back into play. You might be able to shoot over him. And then these next 2 games against Indiana, he hasn't looked great at all. Now, I don't know, like you said, is it just a matchup with Indiana? So I am concerned, and they have multiple guys that could put the ball on the floor. They can shoot, so you have to respect that. And if you close out, so they do present, different, a challenge for the Knicks. But yeah, I am concerned because look at who's around them. It's not like you could say, okay, those 2 guys, but we got locked down defenders and RJ Barrett and Randall and Mitch, so we don't have to worry about it. Those other guys aren't lockdown defenders.
Right.
Mitch does his part, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Randall's looking better.
Mhm.
RJ is looking better, but he has his lapses as well, as Andy pointed out, especially backdoor, and that's been happening since his rookie season.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know what's up if he's not watching tape. People aren't telling him, but yeah, that's been happening with RJ ever since he's coming to the league. He gets caught looking, I think, sometimes either looking at the ball or sometimes looking at another person's defender to see where they might be going, so he can make a judgment call, and then his guy cuts behind him, in front of him, or whatever. What I do get concerned with is that if the Knicks do have a problem with Brunson and Fournier and either other guys, that teams really begin to exploit it. You can, whoever Fournier is guarding, maybe now you start to use that guy in pick and rolls with whoever Brunson is guarding, or, handoffs and things like that. If it starts to really get exposed that these guys can't get around the corner. You know what I mean? And if we hand it off, a little bump on a screen, they can get around the corner. That could be a problem. And then that puts a lot of pressure on Mitch. It puts a lot of pressure on Randall. It could put a lot of pressure on Hartenstein. You know what I mean? To have to come from the weak side, get blocks, or even get in foul trouble. So that's definitely something to watch for. When we're looking at the game tonight, if guys like Bradley Beal plays, that's a dynamic guard that we got to defend. You got Will Barton on the team. He's another guard that can, he can score a little bit. Obviously, he's a good defender. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's definitely something I think to watch for and pay attention to tonight, that perimeter defense, because the Knicks did get kind of ate up with it in the previous game. I'm not exactly sure who's going to be starting for the Washington Wizards tonight. I know looking at previous games, not the last game, but games before then, I just kind of peeked back, and their starting lineups included Monte Morris, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Rui Hachimura, and normally Kristaps Porzingis, but we already know Porzingis isn't playing tonight, so probably Daniel Gafford at that center position. For the Knicks, you're talking Jalen Brunson, Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. So looking here, if Bradley Beal is playing, I'm not exactly sure who you have guarding Bradley Beal.
If he's back, he was in health and safety protocol,
Health and
so I
safety
think he
protocol.
might be back tonight.
Okay. I don't know who you would have guarding him because R.J. Barrett, you would think you'd want R.J. guarding Kyle Kuzma, right?
Kyle Kuzma is going to be playing the 4, no?
I think that could be Rui Hachimura.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know, what lineups they've switched their lineups around a little bit. Looking back at their previous games.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be Rui, it could be somebody else. If it's Rui Hachimura, you would think Julius Randle would be guarding Rui. I mean, Bradley Beal, Evan Fournier guarding Bradley Beal. I don't know if that's a good. I don't like the outlook of that if Bradley Beal is playing. I'm not sure I like the outlook of Jalen Brunson has to defend Bradley Beal. I don't know. What do you think, Andy? Where would you go with these matchups? If it's Jalen Brunson, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and then Monte Morris, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Rui Hachimura, and Daniel Gafford.
Listen, I think Brunson has to be on Monte Morris because he's literally the smallest player in that lineup.
Okay.
And I think that's a key factor here with my matchupping, the guys. So, if it has to be, it has to be, Fournier on Beal. I don't think there's plenty of defenders in the NBA that can stop Bradley Beal. I think he's more of a guy that you cover with the team defense. And I'm not saying even the zone defense because we rarely see that from the Knicks and from Tibbs. But I think, Bradley uses so many screens that, it has to be switches. It has to be cutting the passing lane, going to him. And like you mentioned, and Steph said, Kuzma's, I think he's taller than Evan and then RJ.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you would want to put some strength on him. If Rui's going to be the power forward, I think he's even stronger than Kuzma. So you got to keep Randall on him, and then Mitch with Gafford. I think that's going to be the case. So those are going to be the matchups. And like I said, Monte Morris is even faster than Beal. So I don't think you can put nor RJ nor Evan on him. So it has to be Brunson.
Yeah.
Unless we're pulling out Deuce from the bench to the starters, but that ain't happening.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening in the starters. But I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see Deuce get some time on Bradley Beal or Morris. You know what I mean? Just so that Tom Thibodeau can say, hey, let me see what you do against a fast guy or a primary scorer in the league. Given that Bradley Beal is playing. Steph, what do you think about it?
In terms, I'm sorry, I may have missed it. I think I caught it. Definitely, I would put Brunson on Morris. But what did you say about Beal, Fournier?
Would you have Fournier guarding Beal?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
I
gonna
guess you
have
have to. Yeah.
You have to because Kuzma's what 6'10", is 6'9", maybe.
Yeah.
So you can't put Fournier on him. Hachimura, even if he's not that tall, he's strong.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I think that's just what it's gonna have to be. Now, can you get away with Brunson on Beal and Fournier? But Fournier is 6'7". Monte
Exactly.
Morris is 6 foot, 6'1", 2, something like that.
Right.
Small guy. That's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna have to be Fournier on Beal.
Be Fournier, which means the help side defense is gonna have to be. They're gonna play good help side defense, a good team defense, a lot of talking, and I think that I've seen them really making an effort to play some good team defense.
Right.
And not only I focus on Randall on the defensive end a lot, and if he's actually helping out when guys try to drive to the basket. And over the preseason, I think he's done a good job of stepping in while guys are driving to the basket, trying to cut off that lane, and then getting back out to his man, the person he's defending. So I think he's done a good job. I think everyone's done a good job helping cut off those driving lanes. They're going to have to do it extra tonight if both Morris and Beal are playing.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, and you may even have to say, because a lot of times it's like they dip in, but also get back out quickly and leave a little bit of a sliver of a lane for the ball handler to get through. You know, they may just have to stay there, let that person kick it out, and then close out. You know what I'm saying? So you cut off that driving lane, and then if they start to knock down threes, then you might change up the strategy just a little bit. You know, one of the things that I think I have noticed though this year, I don't think I've seen the Knicks. Last year, it seemed like they really cheated deep in the paint. The ball was on the opposite side of the floor. It's like they were like
They were
almost
collapsing,
under the
right?
basket, collapsing. I don't know if they've done it as much this season or this preseason. You know what I'm saying? If they've really collapsed that way. Now, maybe, they played one team twice, then they played the Pistons, so maybe it just hasn't happened yet. But I don't feel like they've collapsed as much as they have they did last year. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, that could be a good thing. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah,
You
but
about to say something?
collapsing, like collapsing or clogging the paint, whatever you want to call it. I think for me, the question is that Tibbs's principle because he's afraid that they're going to get offensive rebounds, or is he feeling comfortable with the opposite team taking those 3-pointers? Because it's like you can't go bad one side or another, right? Because you would have to be really unlucky if you're putting up this scheme and it doesn't work, you're changing it up and it still doesn't work, right? That means they're probably going to lose the game. Question is, what's a bigger thing for Tibbs? Because that's the pointing that he's going to give to the players, right? That's going to be the scheme. And for me, I think last season, even though we had Mitch isn't a great defensive rebounder. And I heard points that Julius takes the rebounds or the point guard takes the rebounds, but Mitch wasn't, blocking out guys like that.
Right.
So I'm kind of torn up on this, clogging the defense. And I think, listen, at least in Europe is you can, cheat on your guy and, and try to collapse. But that goes to just the point that if they're going to throw the ball to your guy, you can just move that far away so you can get back in time. And I think, in the NBA, since the court is so wide, the 3-point line is so far apart, there's not much, room for cheating on defense, like you said. That's why, I would love to hear from Tibbs. Listen, we're going to clog the paint because I want the guys to get the rebound. And we can afford, the opposite teams to get a 3. Of course, we're not going to hear that because, if that would work for a couple of games, they would ask, for Tibbs to get fired. But, I would love to know the principles of the defensive schemes.
Yeah, I think Tom Thibodeau was kind of still, I don't want to say old school, but he wants to protect the rim at all costs. You know what I mean? He loves the rim protection. So I think that's a big reason why so many guys were cheating in as deep as they were to protect that lane and make sure that, we're protecting the paint. I mean, it still makes sense even to today, though. If it's hard for guys to penetrate and get to the basket, then, you're going to have less kickouts. The problem was we would cheat so deep that when the ball got reversed, we weren't able to get out there quick enough.
Correct.
And we know that Tibbs is a numbers guy, right? Of course, a shot from the paint has a higher percentage than the shot from the 3-point line, right? So he rather, the guys make 2 out of 5 threes or like 2 out of 6 than 4 out of 6, shots in the paint. So if he's like calculating that through after the games, he's going to probably adjust the defensive, like you say, the collapsing, barometer. So,
yeah.
But I think though, last season it seemed to be an overreaction and a lack of discipline sometimes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One person would get like 2 feet in the key and everybody would collapse. And I said, that can't be. Like that just can't be.
Right.
The defense. But I think this season, And trust me, we've had plenty of opportunity to see people get into the key. I haven't seen that overreaction.
Yeah.
You know, guys are rotating and putting in the effort, but I don't see like they're more disciplined with it.
Yeah.
And Steph, that might be the accountability between the players. For example, Brunson's gonna say, RJ, you guys gonna score if you're gonna collapse like that. Fournier, you guys gonna score, so they can't do it
Right.
because they're holding each other accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's that might be
Yeah,
the factor
that's a
as
good
well.
point.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't need to collapse.
Yeah,
You know,
everybody-
yeah,
right.
exactly.
it's supposed to be this person, not you.
Yeah, and we would see that. Someone
Right.
penetrated down the right side, and the guy over on the left side is collapsing
Right,
too. And it's like,
right.
why are you collapsing? You're
Right,
standing behind Randall, or you're standing behind RJ. You can't even do nothing.
Yeah.
You're
on the weak side, right? So
Yeah, so hopefully that issue was fixed this year, and the Knicks are able to defend that 3-point line a little bit better than they did last year. I mean, I think Indiana did get off a little bit a couple of times, but I think they've done a better job defending that 3-point line. I think they've done a better job making second and third efforts too. It's really been about that perimeter, guys being able to penetrate. Off of switches and handoffs and things like that, where I'm kind of concerned with. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the possible matchups for tonight. We haven't really heard anything about the Knicks and who may or may not be playing. So with them not saying anything, I'm going to assume that everybody is going to be healthy to play, and maybe it's going to be a game time decision for some people. And for the Wizards, we really don't know. We do know that Kristaps Porzingis is not going to play, but we don't know who else may or may not play for the Washington Wizards. So when you get to the game tonight, these lineups could be different. They could be very different. Before we get to just team comparison and numbers throughout the preseason, I want to ask you, do you think tonight is going to be a dress rehearsal for the Knicks? Minutes-wise, rotations, and all of that. Steph, what do you think?
I think so. Though, the only thing I don't know if the minutes is going to be as up. So is that really a dress rehearsal? But I think the yeah. If I had to guess, I would say yes. It's gonna be a dress rehearsal. I don't think he goes past 10 tonight, and I think we'll see the same thing. We'll get a sense of he's taking this first team out around this time. He's bringing in the second team. Who's going to be first coming off the bench? Who's going to be second coming off the bench?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that tonight.
Andy?
I think that might be the case only in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. I was saying before the first preseason game that I'm expecting, the starters to get like 30 plus minutes, and that wasn't the case. We saw Deuce McBride the first preseason game. He was in the second quarter on the court. Then the second game, he was in the fourth quarter even. I was shocked, and I love Deuce, and I hope he's gonna get that many rotation minutes. But listen, we still didn't see that much born from the end of the bench. And I think if the first half is going to be handed like a really serious game, then the second half might be like, okay, I'm going to just try to play these guys. Meanwhile, we see that the Knicks are signing and cutting, waiving guys, only for, purposes of the G League probably. But I still think that, I think that Tibbs had his rotation set before the first preseason game, and it only is like an injury here, injury there, that someone is getting a couple of minutes more. The most interesting thing for me is Deuce McBride is going to get rotation minutes, because I don't think any of us expected him to be in the rotation when the regular season starts. And after these 3 preseason games, it actually looks like he will get minutes in the rotation.
It does.
Because he had regular minutes, each and every 3 games of the preseason. So I'm surprised in that angle. I don't know if a situation where Grimes comes back, or D-Rose, maybe D-Rose a little bit more, but if Grimes comes back, does that take minutes away from McBride? I'm not sure. But like Steph said, I'm not expecting Tibbs going past 10 in the regular season. Maybe
Right.
this game just garbage minutes and stuff like that. But in the regular season game, I'm not expecting Tibbs to go deeper than 10, maybe 11, as it's like deuce and it's like a blowout one way or another. But I'm not expecting our 11-man rotation to be on a regular basis.
Right. And I really don't think it's going to be even
Even 10, right? It's like
well, I think it'll be 10. I guess speaking about Deuce, I think right now, because Quentin Grimes isn't playing, like he does the same thing as Quentin Grimes as far as defense is concerned.
Yeah,
So
maybe just a little
yeah,
bit position, right? Because you could put
yeah,
Grimes, as a 2 as a 3 on 2s and 3s. Maybe Deuce is like on 1 and 2s,
ones and
right? So
twos,
on point guards and
yeah,
shooting guards, right? So
right. I mean, I think if Grimes is back, it's either gonna be, if Grimes is back, depending on if D Rose plays tonight, then you're talking about Cam and Deuce, like in your regular rotation minutes, because I still think I don't think that Cam has done enough to prove to the coaching staff that he belongs in the rotation. I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all. So I don't think he's going to play over Grimes. You know what I'm saying? And now, Deuce might be eking up on him. You know what I'm saying? And if Derrick Rose isn't there, it's looking like if Derrick Rose isn't there, it's going to be Deuce and not Cam. That's what it's looking like to me. Will Deuce and Rose split minutes? I don't know. I think it'll be Rose. And then when Rose is hurt, it'll be Deuce. Looking down the line in the future, when Rose's contract is up, it'll probably be Deuce. And I think that's what he's being developed for, so that when D Rose is off this team, he's the next one to step up and get that playing time. I mean, any thoughts, Steph, about Cam? How you feeling
No,
about what
I
you see
mean,
from Cam?
if Grimes is out, say for the first part of the season, and I don't think he was, he will be. I think I would go with Cam over McBride, because I think that when
Okay.
they go with that three guard lineup, it is really strong. I mean, small.
small. Yeah.
Yeah, when they go with Rose, IQ, and McBride. Um, but I don't think we have to worry about it. I think Grimes is going to be ready, and like you said, if Grimes is ready, Cam is outside of the rotation, and I think most of us would agree that we've seen enough of Cam. Not everybody, that we've seen enough of Cam to know that he had his chance. And
Yeah.
nobody was expecting him to ball out and pop off the page. But even in the minutes that he got, he was still expecting a little more.
Right. I heard you say, "Oh, what's that, Andy? What's going on?"
Because I think Knicks Twitter was expecting Cam to take literally, Fournier's spot in the starting lineup. So there were people thinking that Cam is gonna ball out, just give him the minutes.
Mm.
So
No, but I agree. But I think we've
yeah.
seen enough of him to know now, at the end of the
Steph,
preseason, that it's a wrap.
listen, the next Twitter attorneys are going to say that, we need like 20 games of 25 minutes and more from Cam to see him, get adjusted and stuff like that. I'm just going to say this. Nobody gave no minutes to Frank, so I ain't giving no minutes to Reddish. That's a fact, because it might not be Houston, might not be Steph, but there were plenty of fans saying to me that, listen, Frank doesn't deserve these minutes because he ain't taking shots. And that was the biggest part, that he's not taking shots even. They didn't care about making them. He's not taking. He's not aggressive offensively. I swallowed that pill. Listen, now the Cam Reddish fans got to swallow their pill. And listen, and I'm a
Tony's
Cam fan.
probably heated at work right
Yo.
now, listening to us talk about Cam.
Right. He
He's
might
probably
pop on the show in a bit.
Yeah, he'd be rewinding and checking like the captions if I understand that well, right? So Yeah, but
Yeah.
listen, I think that's the case. Maybe I think Steph said it even more harsh than me, because I think that we need to see more from Cam to judge him and to grade him. But did he really made us Knicks fans think, or made the coaching staff think? Listen, maybe versus another team or in another situation, he might like be playing better, right? you
Yeah.
know, I didn't see like a promising thing from Cam to make me go like, okay, next game we're gonna give him a little bit more minutes, or something more, right?
Right.
A better opportunity. I think he was a starter. He was going off the bench. He was playing for his starters. He was playing for his bench guys. What more can you ask for to be true? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that even he didn't make wide open shots, because if he takes a wide open shot and he doesn't make it in a 3-game sample size, I'm cool with that. If he doesn't make it in a 20-game sample size, listen,
Hmm.
just don't shoot because you ain't making the shots. But he was taking not perfect shots. I could see the ball get moved, and the team to generate a better shot.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case with Cam, actually. So
Right. Yeah. Nah. I hear you. I hear you. I'm hoping that the Knicks do a dress rehearsal tonight. I would like to see them play this game as if it was a regular season game. And obviously that means if they're up 20 with 3 minutes left, then you got knowing Tom Thibodeau, if they're up 20 with, you won't see the bench guys until 1 minute left, even if they're up 20. But, I want to see them play it kind of like it's a regular season game, just to be tuned up, you know what I mean? And ready, and letting guys know what to expect in that first game as far as their minutes, what the real rotations are going to look like, even coming down the stretch, because I don't know, against Indiana, coming down the stretch, he went ahead and rocked with the second unit. And I don't know if that was because Indiana went with their second unit, or because he wanted to see what they could do in that situation. You know what I'm saying? But I would like to see what the real rotation is going to be like coming down the stretch. I don't know if this game is going to come down the stretch and be close in the last 5 minutes or not. It's really, a lot's going to depend on who the Wizards decide to play, I think. But if it does come down to that, I'd like to see the real rotation. Steph, what do you think about in Indiana, the second unit? They finished the game. Do you think it was because Indiana had their second unit in, or because Tom Thibodeau wanted to see what those guys could do?
I think it was because he wanted to see what those guys can do. Like, that's why I didn't make a big deal over the loss. We could have won had we put the starters back in and
Mm-hmm.
played the way we usually play. I think he wanted to give them extended minutes to see what they can do. And then I also think, he's been resting people, throughout the preseason, even in practices. If they practice 2 games in a row, he'll give them a day off from practice and things like that. So I think that was more about just wanting to get a look at him.
Yeah. What did you think about them? How they look?
Not that great, not that great. I thought that our defense wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that our shot selection um wasn't that great. And I just think that when it comes to that second unit, we have to have somebody other than Emmanuel Quickley leading that show. Um, whether that's Derrick Rose as a stabilizer.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I would even go with McBride. I just don't think McBride has enough respect on his team right now to
Right.
like wave a Quickley off.
Right.
But Quickley cannot handle the ball, um, be the primary ball handler on the New York Knicks.
No.
Period.
No.
Just can't.
No doubt about it. And it's
And I don't think it's a preseason thing. Like people say, oh, it's just a preseason. We've been seeing this for 3 seasons.
mm-hmm.
At some point, you could see that a player's decision making has improved. His shot selection is an issue as well, but at least it's not the 3-point bombs. Now it's driving in the lane and and going nowhere. His decision making is not there. And when you're trying to close out a game, you got to have those heady players in the game, especially at the point guard position. And he's not it. And that's okay. I'm not saying he shouldn't play at all. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on the Knicks. I'm just saying he can be in the game, but he shouldn't be the primary ball handler. That's what I've learned, solidified from that last game.
Right. Yeah. I hear you on that one. Andy's loving it. I see Andy over there. He's got a grin from ear to ear. Andy's loving it because you already know how he feels about IQ. You know, Andy is loving this part right here.
Sim, listen, I'm so happy Queen said it first, so I'm not gonna be the Evan lover IQ hater in the chat. But I'm just gonna say this. I told you this after 5 games of Emmanuel Quickley's rookie season, that he's gonna be like that, and some things you just can't flow out from a player.
He's just
and I
he's just
think
him.
unless he and Sim, and if he got benched and the coach got on him, that would be the case. But we know that Tibbs has a longer leash for Quickley, so that ain't changing until he gets on another team under another coach.
Yeah. I mean, do you think this season? I mean, the Knicks have more depth than they've had in a very long time. You know, when having a guy like Cam and Deuce on the outside looking in, do you think this is a season where, hey, if IQ is playing too erratic, one of those guys steps in and takes some minutes from him?
He got such a spell on Tibbs, though. I mean, I think if it was somebody else, I think that possibility would be open.
I know.
But for this particular coach, nah.
Yeah,
because he's not even holding him accountable. In the second quarter, he took like 5 straight drives into the basket with nothing to show for it, and he still stayed in the game. So when it comes to Tibbs, IQ can do no wrong.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
He loves IQ, man.
And Sim, what's maybe not the even bigger problem, because it might be like Tibbs might be the bigger problem in this case. But if you would think that IQ would go, and took it upon himself, listen, I'm not gonna do that or that, because I think it looks that bad. If he would recognize it, right? He isn't gonna recognize it because he's basically maybe not basically playing for his contract, because it's not the contract year, but he might be in extension talks after this season. So he wants to ball out. And I think Quickley is going to risk taking more shots to get those numbers up, to get, an easier, contract negotiations going then he's just going to pull back. I don't think Quickley is one of those guys, from his psychology, profile, that he's going to pull back. That he's not one of those guys.
I don't think so either. As a matter of fact, in the last show, we were talking about IQ, and Jay Tapp is bringing this up from the last show. He said, Sim said IQ will be ready when he turns 31. He said, I ain't trying to wait that long. I didn't say he'd be, I guess you can say that. The question was asked, when do I think IQ would be that player that can, that starts to control his shot selection? You can trust him a little bit more handling the ball. And I said maybe when he's 31 or 32 years old, after he's slowed down a little bit. He's been around for a little while, and now you got to expand those other parts of your basketball game. Maybe that's when he starts to really be that guy. I think from now and especially when he's in his prime, IQ is going to be that John Starks, J.R. Smith kind of guy. I think that's who IQ is going to be. For a while, and then maybe at that 31, just like Derrick Rose changed his game. Not that Derrick Rose was like a chucker like that, but he had to change his game because of injuries, and he's getting older, so now he plays a different type of basketball game. He's learned how to shoot the ball a little bit better. And you see a lot of guys in the NBA, when they start to slow down and the game slows down and they get a little bit smarter, the game changes some. Some guys, it happens early. Those are your best players in the league a lot of times. It really happens early, and they have that kind of control. I just feel like I don't know Quickly like close. You know what I'm saying? But just from what I see with his personality, he seems like that kind of a guy. And that's okay. He can be who he is. Just let him be who he is. But I feel like, when he gets a little bit up in age, that's when he'll slow down a little bit, mentally and physically, and you see a little bit of a different game from him. And he'll still have a lot of years left in the league to play that style of basketball. So, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just got to use him. You just got to use him for who he is and what he is right now. You know what I'm saying?
And that's on the coaching staff. And I think a little bit on Quickley too, to be like, all right, Rose is out. My role is a little different tonight.
Yeah, right.
But Steph, I think it's more of on the coaching staff, like you said, because he's too young. Like Sim said 30, 31, right? It's like, it's literally maybe not after your prime, but you gotta play that much basketball to realize it.
Mhm.
And I'm 38, so I could realize it. That's why I look for different things in players than I would look when I was 21. Listen, when I was 21, I was looking for Vince Carter dunks and stuff like that.
Oh, you would
Nowadays, I'm like, yeah. Back then, Steph, back then. Listen, now OB is only, standing on the offside. So
Yeah.
But like you said, it's different things on different stages of a player's career that you're looking for, and different things that you're looking for from players that you need in your kind of basketball game, in your kind of system. So, some guys will love Quickley in their system. Some guys are going to be, listen, I could run my system without him.
Right. Yeah, true. Steph, you said that you would hope that Quickley would be able to look and say, oh, Rose isn't out. My role has to change. I think Quickley looks and says, Rose ain't out. It's time for me to do my thing. And, Rose ain't here. It's time for me to do my thing. You know what I'm saying?
To turn it up. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Right. Pash Duggar, thank you for the super chat. He said, what upsets me, we have heavy-handed critiques on $2 million a year guys to win games. And then you have high-paid vets like D Rose. They're here too. Where was D Rose again? He was rested. I mean, I don't even know if it was Derrick Rose's call. I think it was Tom Thibodeau's call. If you listen to the telecast, Tibbs was like, oh, excuse me. Tibbs was like, you need a rest. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure it was Derrick Rose's call for him to rest in the previous game. We'll see if he plays tonight. But listen, right now we know that Derrick Rose is healthy. You know what I mean? Derrick Rose is healthy, so let's take it from there and hope that he stays healthy. Again, Paris Duggar, thank you for the super chat. He said RJ is our best player, so Cam gets a longer rope. I don't understand exactly what you're saying there, Parrish. So Cam gets a longer rope. I don't know. Maybe you can, type something in the chat and explain and break that one down. What'd you say, Andy?
Nepotism. They're best friends.
Oh, okay, man. Okay. I get that. Yeah. Maybe that's what he's saying. Taking a look, we looked at the starting lineups. Just a quick team comparison between the two teams here, and I'll actually blow this up a little bit bigger so you can see it. So far in the preseason, the Wizards have only averaged 99.3 points per game.
Wow.
Yeah, the Knicks are averaging 116, 42 rebounds a game for the Wizards, 44.7 for the Knicks, 24 assists for the Wizards, 25.3 for the Knicks, and that really excites me.
Yep.
25.3 assists, because that means they're moving that basketball and they're playing together with each other, even in a low-scoring output. Against the Indiana Pacers in the previous game, I think they still had 24 assists.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a good sign. 10 steals for the Wizards, 9.3 for the Knicks so far. Their average for the season, both teams averaging about 6 blocks per game, 14 turnovers for the Wizards, only 12 for the Knicks. They had a little bit more against Indiana in the second game, but only 12 turnovers a game for the Knicks so far. The Wizards shooting 40.5% from the field. The Knicks shooting about 44%. 26.3% from the three-point line for the Wizards. 35 for the Knicks. The Knicks shooting 84% from the free throw line. I think the one game kind of skews it because they shot like 96, 97% or something like that in the one game. So it's probably skewing it.
Yeah, because
76%.
everything else was in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. Right. 76% for the Wizards. The Knicks averaging 51 points in the paint. The Wizards 41 points in the paint. 14 second chance points for the Knicks. 12.7 for the Wizards. The Knicks averaging 18.7 fast break points and 12 for the Washington Wizards. Right now, RJ Barrett is leading the Knicks in scoring at 20. This is in the preseason at 20 points per game. Isaiah Hartenstein is leading the Knicks in rebounds at 7.7. Julius Randle is leading the Knicks in assists at 4.3. And Mitchell Robinson, of course, is leading the Knicks in blocks at 2.3 blocks per game. KP, who is not playing tonight, is leading the Wizards in scoring at 15. Rui Hachimura, 7.3 rebounds. Monte Morris, 5 assists. And then Dylan Wright at 1.3 blocks per game. I do have a question for you. Just in looking at the assist numbers, Julius Randle's leading the Knicks at 4.3. I would argue that if he was averaging 30 minutes or 33 minutes in the preseason, he would probably have 6, maybe 7 assists per game. Are you concerned that it's not Jalen Brunson leading the team in assists and it's Julius Randle? Steph, I'll start with you.
Not really, because I think, guys got to hit shots in order for you to get the assist. So, not too concerned, but I think we're getting a sense of Jalen Brunson, right? Scoring, and I think the playmaking may be a bit secondary. But for Randall, I'm okay with it because he's not the primary facilitator. Like he's basically in his spots, and like maybe in the post, maybe turning to take a shot, and he'll see somebody and he'll pass it to them. He's not like like taking over and bringing the ball up and being the point forward on the team. It just seems like his assists are coming more within the flow of the game. He's not forcing passes. He's not forcing, bringing the ball up the court. It just seems a little different. But Brunson, yeah, I'm expecting some more assists from Brunson. I don't know if it's just the preseason and he's trying to get his hit his stride, but yeah, I'm a tiny bit.
Okay. Yeah, Andy?
Well, I'm looking at this situation from two sides. One, Brunson was never a high assist guy, and the other thing is Tibbs' system is still heavily based. I was thinking that the offense is going to look totally different. Just changing the pace isn't changing, the whole offensive system. And I think we are still using Julius Randle, maybe not like Steph said, as a primary, facilitator on the offensive end, but the ball still goes plenty of times to Julius. And we saw a stat that said that Julius Randle was 4th on the usage rating of the Knicks. Quickley was number 1. RJ was number 2. Brunson was number 3. And Julius was number 4. So I'm not, trying to put shade on Julius in this situation. But I think that, his assist number come more of from passing to guys like Mitch. Previous season, he was passing, the ball more to Fournier, to RJ, like getting out of trouble. Now he's trying to facilitate the ball, and the usage rate went down, but he still is looking for guys on his team, and we saw that he only has like 2 turnovers the 3 games. Last season he was averaging like 3.5 or 3 turnovers a game. So he was playing really, really well in these games, the assist to turnovers, stat wise. So I'm not gonna say. I was thinking that the offense will still look way different. It's faster, but you know I expected a little bit more of a tweak from Tibbs. Listen, I think it's just probably how it's gonna go throughout the season, unless someone has a hot game, unless someone shows Tibbs that we gotta adjust the offense for you. I didn't see any player being worthy adjusting the offense, for them. Even RJ, even Brunson. And just to add here, I don't know if fans realize that Brunson's game is so similar to Randall's game. If you think about it, he dribbles into the 2 point, territory. He takes those mid-range jumpers just like Julius does. When you look at it at the comp, no, it's really similar. I know that they play totally different positions, so the defense is gonna react a way different to them doing the same moves. But when you when he's gonna have a bad game, I bet you that fans are gonna realize, listen, this is what Julius was doing like 2 seasons ago, and we were mad at Julius for doing this. But that's I think fans need to see way more material on this statement to think that it's true.
Yeah, I think so, Andy, because I'm seeing something different, and I get what you're saying. You could be doing the same thing, just doing it at a faster pace. But I just really see more ball and player movement. Like, I don't think anybody is being featured in this offense. It's just whoever if you're hitting your shots that night, then you're the one that's going to be the leading scorer. I don't see where I felt before. It was just Julius, RJ, working separate sides of the court, not even really playing in tandem with each other. And what I'm seeing, like even Fournier, when he played the last game, I felt like he wasn't just stuck in the corner. I saw him doing more things. I saw him handling the ball more. So
Facilitating a little bit.
facilitating a little bit. I just feel
Mhm.
like more guys are getting an opportunity to do something with the ball so far
Yeah.
in the
Yep.
preseason, and that we're not featuring anybody. It's just if you got it and you can make it, make it.
Yeah, but Steph, just the system wise, remember when we had like 2 seasons ago, not only last season, 2 seasons ago, Alfred Payton, he was never a high assist guy. His role was to dribble up the ball, pass it to Julius, and then the offense started to move. And I'm not gonna say it's the same because it's a little bit different, but it's still heavily, based not on the play of the point guard, because we see other teams depend heavily on the play of the point guard. Literally, that they just make one pass or two passes and then the shot goes up.
Mhm.
With the Knicks, the ball moves, and I agree with that. The players moves, and I love that. But I still think that we're not using Brunson to maybe not his strengths, because he's not that kind of a play creator probably. But I still think that Tibbs' system is deeper under the guy's skin than just an addition of Brunson that could change it, switch it all up.
But do you think we're better that way? Like, do you think we're
No,
better?
I think,
Mhm.
Steph, I don't care about the names on the back of the jersey. I feel that the ball movement and the player movement has to be as fast as possible. And the first opportunity you have a great open shot, you take it, no matter if you're a high percentage shooter. Or I'm not saying that Mitch is going to take more threes
Right,
than
right,
Fournier, right?
right.
But just being in your position, if you have an open shot, I rather you take that shot than someone else as a star player, main facilitator on the offense, take a bad shot. I rather take an open shot by a worse shooter than a bad shot being taken by a great scorer.
I
And
don't
I'm
know
not saying that
that
this is the
much,
end game situation.
right.
I'm not saying that this is an end game situation, because
Okay.
I rather take, Carmelo Anthony to take the last shot compared to, Pablo Prigioni, right?
Right, right.
But if it's an open shot from Pablo and it's like three guys hanging on Carmelo, I might be torn on that.
Okay. I mean, I think part of it with the offense is that you got Randall who can handle the ball some. You got RJ who can handle the ball some. You got Brunson who can handle the ball some. I think that makes the Knicks attack a bit more diverse than if it's just Brunson handling the ball and running the offense each time down. And I think what happens, and I saw this the last game, is when Randall was handling the ball, he was able to hit Brunson for a shot. Like those guys can play off of him. It doesn't have to be one guy in this strict role. I don't know. I just think that's gonna help us.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it will help the team overall. And I do like the way that Julius Randle was getting his assist. I was afraid for a little while that, and it's still the preseason, right? So, these games you may feel doesn't mean anything. And we'll see what happens when the games really do mean something. But I was afraid that, he would have his moments where he's like, man, I'm not getting a shot. I haven't touched the ball in 5 possessions, or I haven't gotten a shot in 5 possessions. And then when he did get his chance, he was just going to shoot it and not think about getting anyone else involved. But what we're seeing is, even when he does go some possessions without having the ball in his hands, when he does get the ball and he penetrates or does whatever, he's still hitting the open person. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully that continues, because that's just going to make it easier for him and open it up for him. And, he's going to have to become a better shooter, though.
Right.
He really is. If you're playing in this style of offense, and listen, everyone wants to get their numbers still. I don't care. People still want to get their numbers. If he's going to get his numbers, he's going to have to hit those open threes when they come open.
Right.
With Brunson or RJ, whoever penetrates, he's going to have to knock down those open threes. So he's got to get used to he's got to get used to it. And admittedly, he said it's a change for him, based on the way he's been playing the last few seasons and what they've asked him to do since he's been here. He said it's a change, but he's bought into it, and he thinks he bought into it because he believes that the team plays better when the ball is moving and everyone gets a chance to touch it, and it's an equal opportunity type of offense. So he's basically said, I'm just working on playing with a faster pace and being unselfish. You know what I mean? So hopefully that rolls over into the regular season. One thing that I have seen, and I've been asking for, and I think we've all been, not me, but we've all been asking for a while, is more of a 2-man game with Randall and RJ. And I think we're seeing it a little bit more. You know what I mean? We're seeing them purposely go and hit that little handoff, and then RJ turns the corner, going to the right. Turns the corner, going to the right off of that handoff. We don't see much pick and roll between the two, and maybe that's something that's going to come later on. But I feel like we're seeing a little bit better 2-man game between the two, and I think that's going to benefit the Knicks as well, because those are two of your higher powered offensive guys, and if you can get those two guys playing together with some chemistry, it's really going to help your team out. Let me get to a couple of super chats here. Uncle Fulio said, and he's referring to Derrick Rose, he said 9 minutes in 2 preseason games. He admittedly doesn't play pickup and he needs rest. Not going to call, but you can't depend on him consistently, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. Who knows the reason why he needed rest? Or maybe he didn't really need rest. Maybe there was some personal issue he had to take care of or something like that. Who knows what it is? You know what I'm saying? And who knows? But I get what you're saying. Abdoulaye Diallo, he said, why do you guys think Tibbs, I think he's trying to say, gets so much hate from the fans when he's the most accomplished coach we've had since maybe Mike Woodson? Well,
More accomplished.
More accomplished, yeah. It doesn't matter who the coach is going to be. There's going to be some fans that don't like that coach. Bottom line. I don't think it matters. It could be Greg Popovich here, and I think there'll be people that say Greg Popovich is past his prime. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's the way it is. When you coach for the New York Knicks, there's going to be people that don't like you. You know what I mean? I tend to think he's a good coach. He has flaws. I think every coach has flaws, to be honest with you. But I think for the most part, he's a good coach. He's coached the Knicks to the best record that they've had in however many years you want to talk about. You know what I mean? Over 2 years, he's coached them to their best record. So, I'm willing to see where it's going to go. But I think it's not fans as a whole. There's some fans that don't like him, and that's going to be any coach that walks the sidelines of the New York Knicks. Somebody's not going to like him. And I think that's the best answer that I got for him. I don't know if you guys got anything else, but I think that's the best answer that I can give him, as far as why somebody may not like Tom Thibodeau.
No, I think you hit it on the head. No matter who is here, I think we'll have some criticism.
Yeah.
Oh, Steph, I'm just going to add that if you would, Tibbs haters, if you would get them the Knicks coaching position, after a week or two, they would hate on each other. So that's the case, man. It's like there's no defense to the Knicks coach. It's like one mistake he makes, and it's gonna be under the magnifying glass. And like I plenty of times said, it's easy to judge a decision after the outcome, and if the outcome is bad, it's even easier to nag and to show flaws over a coach, over a decision. Right. It's totally different when you're in that seat and you got to make the decision. You don't think it's going to be bad. You always do the decision that you think is going to be the best way that is going to help your team. You never do listen, I'm just going to throw it out and see if it's going to go. I'm like, listen, I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to work. That's why I'm doing it.
Right.
So,
right. And that's what it is. And sometimes coaches are going to make mistakes, and sometimes it's going to work, Some things to look for, ladies and gentlemen, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. Some things to look for today. One, will today be the dress rehearsal for the New York Knicks? Or will Tom Thibodeau look to play some guys who haven't even played just so they can get a look at them? I'm hoping that it's going to be a dress rehearsal, because I want to see what those rotations look like if the game really does. Well, the Indiana Pacers game came down to the wire, and he played the second unit. He probably wanted to get a look at them, but I'd like this to be a dress rehearsal. And if the game comes down to the wire, he plays whoever his closing lineup is going to be. Obviously, I want to see them continue to have the pace of play in transition as well as in the half court. I would like to see that continue. I keep talking about it. I don't know if I've seen it as much as I want to, but I want to see more pick and roll between Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson. I think we've probably seen it between Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson. May not have resulted in an alley-oop or things like that, but I think we have seen it. I want to see more of Hartenstein orchestrating the offense. I thought we got a good glimpse of it versus Indiana for a good stretch of that fourth quarter. But I'd like to see him orchestrating it a little bit more. Then, like we talked about, the perimeter defense. Will the Knicks, is the perimeter defense going to be an issue, or, is it just because we were playing Indiana? Right. You know what I mean? So I'd really like to, really take a look at that perimeter defense, and hopefully, I'm really going to be watching it tonight and see what it looks like. Steph, I did want to ask you about, how you felt about Hartenstein in that, what was it, the fourth quarter, I guess.
Yeah.
Orchestrating the offense.
I really liked it. And so much so that if Rose is out, maybe we can run it through Hartenstein. I mean, that's how much I liked it. I'm not saying he was perfect by any stretch. Some things he needs to improve on. But as far as his command of the offense, as far as his playmaking, his vision, being able to get guys easy shots, he was able to do that. He was able to do that. So I actually really like it. The issue, and you know what I like more, Sam, is that Tibbs realizes that and allowed him to do that. Right? Because he's done that with Joakim Noah as well. So I think it's something that the coaching staff is aware of that he can do. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was something they called and it wasn't just something that just
That,
happened.
yeah,
Yeah, that
exactly,
was something that
exactly.
they decided to go to. I like it. I really do.
Yeah, me too. The only thing that I would like to see a little bit more of is when teams start to jam up those guys cutting off the ball, and Hartenstein's guy drops back. I want to see him pull that little mid-range jump shot because he
Take the
was,
shot.
yeah, he would have it there, but he was still looking for the handoff or still looking for another shot. He's got to pull it. I think, you know what I mean. I think he can
Yeah.
knock it down.
Yeah, and that keeps the defense honest, and it just opens up even more options now.
Exactly.
So absolutely.
Even if he misses it, it's okay. You know what I mean? Just pull it. It's going to make the defense stay honest and know that you will pull that shot if it's open. You know what I mean? And now guys are less likely to fall off. You know what I mean? That's the only thing about it that I'd like to see. And I guess it'll probably come in time, when he's, just getting more comfortable out there on the floor. It'll probably come in time. You know what I mean? And he may not want to, feel like he's stepping on anybody's shoes or toes or anything like that. So he's trying to ease himself into it. I'm pretty sure the coaching staff will let him know that, hey, you got to shoot it. You know what I'm saying? When it's open to you, you got to shoot it. But other than that, I thought it looked really good. You know what I'm saying? With him being able to find Obi, find Miles McBride, and whoever else he found cutting to the basket. So, that's an area of the offense that is kind of untapped and can really add to it. And even with Emmanuel Quickley in the game, when the ball was going to Hartenstein, it was more control. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that develops.
Yeah, and that can be an option, like I said, when Rose is out the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when Quickly is behind the 3-point line and somebody is passing it to him, it's going down.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. So I guess I'll be looking for that. We'll all be looking for that, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks play tonight at 7:30. Got another super chat here for me to read. Let me get it up here on the screen. Mr. Diallo, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let me get it up here bigger. There you go. He said, I think this team's biggest problem is that we don't have a number one. Randall is like Siakam on the Raptors with Kawhi. He is like Siakam on the Raptors with Kawhi. He's perfect for this role. I mean, right now we got to do with it what we have. There's nothing that this team can do about it at this point. And if they play, and they're going to play without having a number one. You know what I mean? And their chemistry is going to have to be the number one thing. You know what I mean? And if you can have multiple threats out there on the floor, I'm not saying that this is going to supersede having that number one guy that can really, get you a bucket consistently when other teams are clamping down on you. But if you can have that kind of chemistry, moving the basketball, and you have multiple options out there on the floor, multiple scorers, you can still put some pressure on another defense, even in those tight moments of the basketball game. And that's how this team is going to have to play. They're going to have to be a lot like that Detroit Piston team back in the day that won the title. Right. They're going to have to be like them. And I'm not saying they're going to win a title. I'm just saying they've got to model that type of game, I think, with this team, because you don't have a number one out there on the floor, you know?
Totally agree with that.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to head up out of here. I appreciate your time. I will be back after the game. I'm assuming tonight it's going to be about 10:15 or so, unless the game goes a little bit longer, but I will set it up for 10:15 tonight. So make sure you join us on the post-game show. All right, and we'll break down this game and start getting ready for the regular season. I think sometime between, Monday, Tuesday, or whatever, I'll probably do a big season outlook. I like to. I know there's been a lot of people that have done it, But I like to wait until after preseason because I think you get some more data to work with. You know what I'm saying? And how the team might look. So sometime early next week, we'll be doing a season outlook and whatnot. Steph, anything you want to announce?
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be doing the morning recap, 8 a.m. I know it's early on Saturday, but I got to get it out the way because I got things I need to do.
That's
Um,
definitely early on a Saturday.
That is
Woo!
early on a Saturday, but you know what? I didn't want to move the time around.
Yeah.
You know, that was the thing, because on Tuesdays and Wednesdays I can only do it at 8. But anyway, 8. If you're not up, that's totally fine. Just watch it. Just watch it later on. But
Yeah.
that'll be every morning after the Knicks play.
Yeah. Okay, no doubt. And just a quick recap for those who are maybe just joining in. I see some questions about whether or not Grimes is playing. I haven't seen anything yet about the Knicks injury report. I haven't seen anything, and looking all over the place. I'm hoping that because they didn't put out anything about guys being injured or not playing, that means everyone is playing. That's what my hope is.
Right.
But we haven't seen anything in regards to Quentin Grimes and whether or not he's playing, or Derrick Rose and whether or not he's going to rest. As far as the Washington Wizards, we know that Kristaps Porzingis is not going to play because he twisted his ankle in the previous game. So he's going to not play tonight, and he'll play in their season opener. All right, so we do know that. So assuming that the Knicks, everyone plays for the Knicks, and that KP is the only guy out for the Wizards, projected starting lineups could look like this. Jalen Brunson for the Knicks at point guard, Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And then for the Wizards, Monte Morris, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Ruby Hachimura, and Daniel Gafford. All right, when you look at a quick team comparison, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks are averaging 116 points per game, 45 rebounds, 25 assists per game for the New York Knicks. 9 steals, 6.3 blocks, only 12 turnovers a game. They're shooting 44% from the field. I'd like to see that up around 46, 47%. That's where I'd like to see it. 35% from 3. I'd like to see that up about 37%. 84% from the free throw line. Maybe it's skewed because they had one night in there where they shot like 96% from the free throw line. The Knicks, 51 points in the paint, 14 second chance points, 18.7 fast break points for the New York Knicks. And that's definitely a big change for this team. That's a big change for this team, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully they can keep up that scoring output from the fast break standpoint. A lot of that is defense turning into fast break points. You know what I mean? Some things to watch for tonight. Will today be the dress rehearsal for the New York Knicks? Will they continue to pace of play in transition, in half court? Can they capitalize on some more pick and roll play with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, or Brunson and Mitch? More of Isaiah Hartenstein orchestrating the offense in that second unit. It looked good versus Indiana. We'd like to see some more of it. And then the perimeter defense. Over the past 2 games is maybe a little bit slacking. We'll see if the Knicks can play some better perimeter defense tonight versus the Washington Wizards. Yeah. Steph, anything else you want to add about tonight's game or anything before we get up out of here?
No, pace of play. I'm just really interested in the Brunson, Randall, who I'm missing, RJ. Just them playing off of each other. It looked really good last game. And if this is going to be a dress rehearsal, they're going to get more minutes. Hopefully we'll see more of it. The better they play together, the better it's going to be for us. So I'm looking for more of that. But I agree with everything else.
Yeah, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you join us tonight about 10:15. Join Steph tomorrow at 8 a.m. And we out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.